In this video, we're going to talk about the Arbor Bryan Iguchi Pro Camber. It's that all-mountain freeride board that the Gooch, or Bryan Iguchi, is known for. It's going to cut through chunder and crap. It's just a board for charging, but you can still spin a 720 when you're coming off of a powder booter. This board features Arbor's camber system. Think of it as Arbor's Camber 2.0. So what you have is parabolic camber, so it's less camber out in the tips, or kind of similar to traditional camber, with uprise fenders. A 3D shape that raises the contact points. That way you get more of a surfy feel out at the tips. Then you have grip tech underfoot, which is an added contact point, so you can steer the board right underfoot instead of out at the contact points. So basically, traditional camber with an added contact point underfoot and raised contact points out at the tip and the tail. It gives for a surfy play, but you still get that snap and pop that you would get from traditional camber. If you don't know who Bryan Iguchi is, you should probably get yourself acquainted with it. I mean, this guy kills it. You can see it right up here. He knows what he's doing. He's charging hard. And the Bryan Iguchi Pro model that we reviewed here, well, Kevin actually reviewed it. I'm just doing the video portion because he's lazy, but that's another story for another time, is a reflection of all the years of his riding in one. That's why it's camber dominant. That is why this board has a directional flex pattern, so it's middle of the road in the nose and stiffens back up through the tail. It's got a mid-flex torsional give, which really lets you center flex the board and steer it just how you need to, but it's still stable enough to bust through heavy end of the day chunder for just plowing around, for going out in the pow, for buttering if you need to on the nose. It's one of those flex patterns that, yeah, it's more freeride oriented, but you can still have fun with it. You can still pop off things. It's not that aggressive. It's not just straight freeride, but it's not quite all mountain freestyle. It's kind of like all mountain freeride. That's the best way to describe this board. So there's two ways to pop with this board. You can aggressively load the camber up and it's gonna snap, it's gonna pop. It's just like traditional camber in that. But it's also designed that if you're a little more laid back and you need some snap at the last minute, you can load it up like a skateboard and still pop. This is a board that it's not the snappiest deck out there, but it's got enough to sustain yourself. So if you're ollieing over a bush gap, or you're hitting a cat track, or side hit, or even if you wanna go in the park and just send some jumps and play around, it's got you covered there. But you're still going to have to work for it with the way the camber profile works. If you're going to butter with this board, you want a power butter, obviously, just like Gooch would do. But with that said, you just got to understand that the tail takes more effort than the nose, just the way the flex pattern is. So you're really going to have to lay into the tail if you're just trying to do a tail wheelie, or if you're just trying to butter around on a groomer. But if you're getting over the nose, it doesn't take as much effort. Now, the good thing with this board is that it has the uprise fenders to it, which elevate the contact points at the tip and the tail, so they're beveled up. This gives a little bit more play to it, so you don't have to worry about them hooking up like you would with a traditional camber board. It's just one of those little benefits to the tech that Arbor has going on. So this board doesn't carve like a traditional cambered board just due to the parabolic camber with the uprise fenders in it. It takes a little bit to get used to, but once you do, you understand that it kind of steers underfoot. It's very similar to a skateboard, but you get that load of camber to drive it through the arc of the carve. This is one of those boards that it excels at carving. It really does, and you can drive it how you want. With that softer nose to stiffer tail, you can really push the tail through the apex of the carve and slingshot yourself out. It's great for quick little setup turns, and it's amazing at hard driven carves. So that's pretty much how this board carves. This is definitely an all-mountain freeride board, and it could be a quiver of one deck for the guy that's out there that just really wants to charge the whole mountain, is chasing pow, blasting side hits, an occasional lap through the park. That's what this board is really designed for. So it's almost got traditional camber to it with what Arbor's got going on with their parabolic camber system. And because of that, it's an easy transition for you old guys that are coming off of a cambered snowboard. It's not quite limited to just being a powder board, and it's not quite limited to being a freeride board. It's an all-mountain freeride board. This board is available in both regular and mid-wide sizes. So what boards are comparable to the Bryan Iguchi Pro model? Well, there's the Ride Berserker, the Flow Rush, the Jones Explorer, the Weston Range, the Yes Standard, and the One from Rosenall. Not to be confused with Jet Li's The One. That's a movie. The One is a snowboard. Just to make clear. Alright, so now you've decided what snowboard you're going to get, and you're going to decide where you're going to buy it. If you're shopping local, awesome. Slap your local shop guys a high five and tell them they're killing it. But for those of you that are buying online, why don't you shop from one of the links we have down below? That way you support us and you get a deal on your snowboard.